You're watching Coin Ops, a visual podcast, a Moxxi channel production.
Press start.
Hey y'all, I'm Shelby and this is Mox from Moxxi channel. Say hi, Mox.
Hi, Mox. Still going with y'all?
Yeah, you got a problem with that?
Yeah, kinda.
Well then, keep it to yourself.
Never.
This episode is We've Got Bionic Commando at Home. Mox and I will look back at the Capcom arcade game that flew under the radar until its console remake on the NES became a cult classic and spawned a few excellent sequels and remakes. And, one that was not so great.
Bionic Commando has shown up on so many top 10 lists of the greatest games ever that it's hard to keep track of at this point.
So stick around, and let's go save Super Joe.
Super Joe's not a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured, okay?
Well, you trumped me on that one.
Just biding my time. Before we hit play on today's episode, please take a moment to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. And remember, if you aren't retro gaming, what are you doing? Here we go.
Last time was our We Have Ghosts and Goblins at Home episode, which was the brainchild of Tokoru Fujiwara, and this
is also a Fujiwara joint.
I was talking, but okay, why don't you stay on your side of the script? Any hoozles, Fujiwara envisioned Bionic Commando as a sequel to his earlier arcade game, Rock and Rope. You remember Rock and Rope, don't you, Mox? Mox? Moxxi? Oh, for God's sake, quit being a big baby. Talk, don't talk. Nobody cares.
Fine, since you asked nicely.
I didn't.
Bionic Commando has kind of a weird backstory. The wire-swinging mechanic concept started with Fujiwara's Rock and Rope for Konami, but he was unable to make a sequel to that game as he was now working at Capcom. And also, before he went full Bionic, Fujiwara created Commando, the top-down 1985 arcade shooter that also appeared on a number of home consoles.
I've been playing some Rock and Rope and Commando B-roll in the background.
Oh, okay, great, thanks. Commando starred our intrepid war hero, Super Joe Gibson, and spawned many other Me Too games like Atari Warriors, Rambo, and even influenced side-scrollers like Contra and Green Beret, aka Russian Attack.
Did you know that in North America, Capcom intended Bionic Commando to be a direct sequel to Commando, saying that Super Joe is now bionic in an arcade flyer?
I did know that, since I, wrote your script. But thanks for trying to AI-splain me on my own words, Shelby.
Happy to help. Now, I like to think that Super Joe actually does star in the arcade version of BC, and that he gets captured at the end, but you don't see it.
That's actually not a bad theory. Glad I thought of it. I originally played Bionic Commando in Las Vegas when I was there in '88, and while it was fun enough, didn't grab me as much as I had hoped.
Oh, really? Where in Vegas?
You know what? Circus, actually. It was right beside a RoboCop machine, and that got most of my attention, because RoboCop.
I'd buy that for $1.
Indeed, I would. All right, so back to your theory there. If Super Joe is the hero in the arcade version of Bionic Commando, according to Capcom, the NES version clearly states in the manual that it...
Can you show it?
What? Yeah. Okay, here, look. Okay, so it says, our brave man, you, the player, was sent to the Empire with a special mission to save Super Joe. This story begins here.
So he's not even called Nathan Rad Spencer yet?
No, he's you, the player.
I've been thinking a lot about this whole name thing and came up with a solution.
Oh yeah? What is it?
Who gives a shit and just play the f***ing game already?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, I agree. The real story of the enduring popularity of Bionic Commando over the years begins right here on the NES. While BC was ported to a host of other home consoles, which we'll show later, they were all based on the arcade version of the game. But the NES...
had lots of Nazis in it.
Yeah, it was all very Nazi-esque. They weren't called Nazis, they were called Nazis in the manual, but called Bads in the game. The story is said to take place during an alternate timeline where Nazism was not completely snuffed out after World War II.
So our timeline then?
Yeah, I kind of guess no one at Capcom would have guessed kind of bullshit we'd be dealing with in 2024. Right?
You're not kidding.
In this NES game, Hitler's called Generalissimo Kilt.
Generalissimo Kilt? Sounds like an Italian bagpipes player.
In most versions of this game, you can't jump.
You can't jump?
You can only use your bionic arm to attach anywhere in the environment to pull yourself up above levels or over objects.
Isn't that like the first thing you'd want in a recruit? Can you jump? No? Then get the out.
What are you, Bill Burr over there? Jesus. No, he can't jump, but the arm makes it fun. It's the ability to continuously use the bionic arm to swing, like Spider-Man, that makes the NES version superior to the arcade version, where he could only attach once. You can also use the arm to knock enemies back, stop projectiles, grab power-ups. When you, the player, bumps
You mean
into...
Spencer Gnarly Jackson?
You mean Nathan Rad Spencer.
Right, Nathan Rad Spencer. Whatevs.
When you're moving on the map, which is an NES creation and not found in the arcade game, you have the opportunity to connect with enemy forces. If you do, you're forced into a top-down commando-type level where you'll have to reach the end to continue on to your destination.
So basically the game fleshes out the arcade game story and doubles down on the Nazism, has you wiretapping the enemy and communicating with your side to further the story or provide game hints.
Yeah, and you'll find a selection of guns, protective vests, one-ups, and other tools to even the odds. And you get to blow up Hitler's head.
No, you don't. That's not a thing.
Yeah, roll the clip.
Oh my god. The 80s were insane.
Yeah, that's why we miss him so much.
I assumed you were all just missing the mint-colored suits, moosed up crazy hair, leg warmers, and wang chunging tonight.
No, not really, except I do miss the wang chunging.
I'm not even going to ask what that is.
Probably for the best.
The NES version dropped in December of 1988. Did you buy it at launch?
I didn't get my hands on it until like early January '89, as I recall.
Did you love it instantly?
Oh yeah, the gameplay was so much tighter and responsive than the arcade version to me. Plus, as I said, there was so much more going on with the story and the controls upgrades, etc.
Let me guess, you blew off work for a day to play it?
I certainly did not. I blew off 3 days of work to play it.
Wow. There's that infamous Moxxi work ethic we discussed last episode.
In my defense, Your Honor, I was 22. What was I gonna do? Go to work and not play it? Where's the sense in that?
What did you do back then for work?
I was in charge of a drum department in a music store. And for the record, people don't need drums that badly in January. And if they did, they should have bought them in December.
Was this one a controller destroyer like Ghosts and Goblins?
No, but some parts were a tad frustrating.
Did you ever play the Amiga Atari ST C64 or DOS ports of Bionic Commando?
I did, and as we know, not all home console versions are created equal. The Amiga and the Atari ST looked really good, but there were some inherent problems with the game in later levels. Now we're watching the Amiga version in action, and you see those enemies? They just keep spawning and dropping down on you, the player.
It's raining men.
Yeah, and it's not as much fun as you might think.
I didn't think it sounded very fun at all, actually.
Again, looks great, plays very similar to the arcade, sorta, kinda, but just gets ghosts and goblins intense with just way too much going on. The music, though, sounds pretty good.
Yes, it does.
The best sounding version is hands down the Commodore 64 version, but it's not a looker. Here, check it out.
Oh, neither are you. So you have that in common at least.
Always the charmer. Tim Follin is the sound arranger on the C64 version, and his soundtrack is undeniably great. The game plays well too, but that music. I didn't know this back in the day, but Tim and his brother Jeff created the soundtrack for Spider-Man and X-Men and Arcade's Revenge for the Super Nintendo and Genesis, which is incredible. The soundtrack, the game is okay.
I want to hear it.
Can you call it up then?
Sure, give me a sec. Wow, that was cool, and you, played the whole intro.
Yeah, I don't care.
I respect that.
I see that most people don't watch beyond 3 minutes of these videos, so at this point it's just me and you, and pretty sure we could just do what we want.
We could show a public domain cartoon?
Sure, why not? Who cares? Do you care?
You know that I definitely don't care.
Nice to finally agree on something.
Ready? Okay, say it. Roll the clip.
So, Frank, what was your good deed for this season? I shot Jigsaw on the kneecap instead of the face. Hey, it's Christmas. What are you gonna do, you know?
You're all heart, Pun.
In my line of work, it's always better to give than to receive. What about you, Moon Knight?
Some moron in a truck hit me when I was crossing the street last Saturday. So I've been laid up until now.
Last Saturday? You mean during the snowstorm?
Yeah. Said he didn't see me.
What'd you expect? You're wearing all white in the middle of a snowstorm. Give your head a shake, numbnuts.
Why do you always wear white anyway? There is a dark side of the moon, you know.
Wow. I literally never thought of that. That's not bad. I could dress in all black. That will possibly decrease the instances of where I'm spotted in the shadows by give or take, I'm thinking 100%.
At least. There is some leeway with the costume colors, MK. How many red and blue spiders have you seen?
Yeah, or blue and yellow Wolverines. Jeez, what a douchebag that guy is.
I guess that's a sign we should get back to it.
All right, but more people should watch Ghosted, the badly animated Marvel Christmas Carol, right here on the Moxxi channel.
They won't.
Yeah, I know.
How was the Game Boy version of Bionic Commando?
Funny you should ask that, because it's up next.
You don't think I can read a script? Give your head a shake, numbnuts.
Oh, God, don't start quoting my stupid cartoon back to me, please.
I won't guarantee that. It looks like it plays the same.
Oh, it absolutely does. It's the same great gameplay. There's the overworld map that your DX3 turbocopter flies over.
Cool.
Transports you to different areas. You'll find the communications rooms that are required to visit to advance the story, new gadgets, neutral zones, the whole bit. The Game Boy version of Bionic Commando was an excellent sequel, even though it's actually technically more of a sci-fi retelling of the NES.
Oh, really?
The Nazi theme is gone.
I did not see that coming.
Some names are changed, but it's you, the player. This time is Rad Spencer, off to save Super Joe again.
Rad to the rescue. Do they still have the top-down commando-type levels in the Game Boy version?
No, actually, those have been replaced with side-scrolling levels that are fairly easy to complete. Overall, the game isn't as challenging as the NES version, primarily because of the limitations of the small screen you're playing on.
I'm excited about the Game Boy Color version, Bionic Commando Elite Forces. Can I tell you why?
I bet you I know.
Because you can play as a female hero.
Predictable.
Not nearly as predictable as all of you bald, white-bearded, old, weird nerds waxing poetic about some stupid games you liked a million years ago. Seriously, why do you retro gaming YouTube guys all look like brothers?
Yeah, well, go ahead and make fun if you want to, but when you see old gamers that look like me, you're getting the real deal. Aside from Pong and Atari and ColecoVision, anything gaming-related that I wanted after the mid-'80s came out of my own pocket. I can tell you what I was wearing when I bought my Genesis or Super Nintendo on launch day.
Okay, Mr. Memory. What were you wearing?
Clothes.
Good answer, Socrates. Oh, Papa Moxxi, you are so learned.
Learned, Shelby. It's pronounced learned.
Okay, oh wise one. What are your thoughts on BC Elite Forces?
Oh, for my money, Elite Forces is the best Bionic Commando game there is. It's a damn shame it never got a re-release outside of the Game Boy Color, as it should be played by anyone who calls themselves a fan of the series.
Actually, you're incorrect. Elite Forces was released on the 3DS Virtual Console. Let's get into it. Ooh, can you name her Shelby?
Yeah, I guess.
My name in lights. What a rush. So that kick-ass female Bionic Commando is me, right?
Yeah, but she's pretty.
That is fucking awesome, dude.
Ah, glad you like it.
Okay, so explain why you love it in 3 sentences or less.
Impossible. I'm too verbose.
I think you mean obese.
Verbose means wordy.
According to my AI brain, it means you eat too many verbs and now you're bloated from word fat.
Word fat. Jesus, Murphy. I've been avoiding your upgrades and I'm seeing the error of my ways on that decision. Okay, but I'll try. Number 1, 2 playable characters, female and male, with some branching paths. Number 2, published and developed by Nintendo, not Capcom. And number 3, sniper and top-down levels.
Those weren't sentences, but close enough, and you forgot the best part. Elite Forces is the only video game that features a delish chocolate chip cookie recipe. Seriously. Roll the clip.
Well, it may not have chocolate chip cookies made with lard, but Bionic Commando Rearmed, which released on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, and PC in 2008, is a true updated remake of the NES classic. I mean, visually, this game is amazing, and it still looks great 15 years later. Unfortunately, no physical copies were released, which is a real shame.
Digital is the way to go, baby, and I should know. Same basic story? Save our damsel in distress, Super Joe?
Basically the same, yeah. Grin kept the same great gameplay, still no jumping, and you'll revisit the NES levels with a few twists and turns here and there. Boss battles require the use of Rad's bionic arm more, and there's even two-player co-op mode for the entire game, which then expands instantly to split screen if one player wanders off. The game's AI even adjusts to the presence of the second player. And there's even a local multiplayer mode.
Oh, so you can only play with people from your neighborhood?
Well, yeah, technically that's kind of true. We call it couch co-op, and it requires everyone to play on the same television in the same room and not online.
Ugh, so gross. Must have smelled like a monkey's wedding night. Doritos, farts, gamer patented body odor, unbrushed teeth, and more farts.
Yeah, that stock footage you're showing there is not at all accurate.
I don't know how you humans even stand to be around each other.
Yeah, it's not great. The worst part of Rearmed by far is the minigame required for hacking. You gotta rotate the squares so they get the ball into the zone, but when you tilt the screen certain ways, it becomes impossible to see the movement lines as to where the ball's gonna fall. It's not terrible, it's not that fun either.
Seems like useless busy work.
There are extras such as challenge modes that are
challenging.
Yes, for the most part.
Try getting good, maybe.
They'll require complete mastery over your bionic skill set if you want to complete them all.
Overall, I'd say Rearmed looks pretty awesome.
Definitely. At the top of the show, you mentioned a Bionic Commando that's not so great.
Yes, I did.
And were you talking about this version?
Yes, I was.
Why is that?
I looked at the aggregate scores for this version, and it was hovering around 60% out of 100, so not great.
I was a game reviewer on the web and print for 10 years way back when.
And we're all so very impressed.
And never, ever listen to reviewers. They don't know what they're talking about.
How do you know game reviewers can't play?
Because I saw them play at E3 every year. Most game reviewers are fucking terrible players.
I'll pretend to take your word for it.
Great. It's unfortunate that this game didn't sell as well as Capcom had hoped, because it would have been nice to have had a few 3D sequels over the last 15 years. Yeah, the story is a little cuckoo, and don't get me started on the whole arm being his dead wife thing, but this game is challenging, great looking, and lots of fun once you get the
swing of things.
Nice pun.
I know.
Bionic Commando on the PS3 and Xbox 360 and the PC is a lot of fun, but you gotta wade through the first hour or so before you get a grip on the controls and playing BC in a 3D environment. While this game didn't feature any sort of co-op mode...
No couch co-op? Thank God. PU.
Yeah, anyway, it did feature an awesome online multiplayer component back then. It offered 3 games, Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, and Capture the Flag, for up to either 8 or 10 players. Actually, I can't remember.
If only you knew someone with all of the world's knowledge at their beck and call.
Sometimes I like not knowing something.
You must like that a lot.
The online community for this game lasted for a few years with real diehard fans keeping it alive. It would be really nice to see this one make a comeback.
You can play as Nathan Rad Spencer in the Marvel vs. Capcom games at least.
Yeah, that's true. And while that's cool and appreciated, it's not quite the same thing.
Well, boo frickety, boo for you.
Last and certainly not least, we have Bionic Commando Rearmed 2 for XBLA and PSN and PC. Rearmed 2 received some flack from reviewers stating that it didn't feel as special as Rearmed, but that can easily be explained because Rearmed was a remake of the beloved NES version. It felt special because we all knew that world inside and out for 20 years at that point.
The story in Rearmed 2 actually takes place before the events of Bionic Commando on Xbox 360 and PS3, right?
Yeah, so it helps fill in the gaps if you wondered what the hell was happening with Super Joe at the end of the 3D console version. It also sets up the mechanics by adding a jump button and a few moves from the 3D version, which is a nice touch. Another cool feature, which takes a while to get the
swing of.
So played, Shelby.
Fine.
The bionic arm now attaches and grips, which then allows players to use momentum swinging to get around. Nothing wrong with a few new tricks to keep it fresh.
And you can play the entire game without jumping.
Yeah, in fact, if you beat the game, you can actually turn the jumping mechanic off completely. Co-op is also offered, but the split screen has been removed.
So players have to stay on the same screen?
Yeah. Also gone are the top-down Commando bonus levels, but they kept in the challenge rooms.
I have a quote from the producer as to why they didn't do the Commando levels.
People liked them because they were in the original, but I don't remember hearing anyone say that was their favorite part of the game. It doesn't have the swinging, you know?
You know, Ray makes a good point. The Commando levels really aren't missed, and neither are those crappy hacking minigames from Rearmed 1.
You really didn't like those, eh?
No, I did not.
So, final thoughts on all of this Bionic Commando stuff?
All right, Bionic Commando has remained one of my all-time favorite franchises, alongside Ghouls and Ghosts, and their creator, Tokoru Fujiwara, is as much a genius as Mario Shigeru Miyamoto, in my opinion. Videos like this aren't exercises in preaching and converted, but if you're like me...
Hopefully they aren't.
I'm certain they are. If you're like me, you just like reliving the great moments of these games and watching what fans have to say about them. And if you've watched this far...
They haven't.
I know. But to those few who made it this far, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, thanks. We're like doing this just for you at this point. Let us know what you think in the comments, and I'll even respond when I get the chance.
Get the chance? The hell are you so busy with?
That's my business. Say goodbye, Mox.
Goodbye, Mox.
See you next time, friends. Shelby out.
Shelby out? Ugh,
What?
Awful.
No, it's not. I thought it sounded cool.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, you don't know anything about anything, for God's sakes.
I know that's not cool. Here, listen. Mox out.
Okay, yeah, it sucks. When you say it, but not when I say it.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You're so full of shit, you know
I'm
that?
full of shit. Get the hell out of here with that crap. Nah, you don't know.